Burst of Words Poetry Podcast with Shelby Rosengarten. In this edition, Litany by Billy Collins.
Litany by Billy Collins. You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. Jacques Craquion. You are the bread and the knife, the crystal goblet and the wine. You are the dew on the morning grass and the burning wheel of the sun. You are the white apron of the baker, and the marsh birds suddenly in flight. However, you are not the wind in the orchard, the plums on the counter, or the house of cards. And you are certainly not the pine-scented air. There is just no way that you are the pine-scented air. It is possible that you are the fish under the bridge, maybe even the pigeon on the general's head, but you are not even close to being the field of cornflowers at dusk. A quick look in the mirror will show you that you are neither the boots in the corner nor the boat asleep in its boathouse. It might interest you to know, speaking of the plentiful imagery of the world, that I am the sound of rain on the roof. I also happen to be the shooting star, the evening paper blown down an alley, and the basket of chestnuts on the kitchen table. I am also the moon in the trees and the blind woman's teacup. But don't worry, I am not the bread and the knife. You are still the bread and the knife. You will always be the bread and the knife, not to mention the crystal goblet and somehow the wine.
Upon reading this poem at an event, the author Billy Collins stated that he was inspired by the rather trite lines of another poem. He comments that he found it to be so overused that he felt obligated to swipe the opening lines and rewrite the poem as some sort of favor to that original poet, hoping to improve upon it. He does so with a twist of dry wit. The speaker in this poem is not ostensibly Collins, though to keep this discussion clear, I'll refer to a speaker as he or him. Famous lines etched in our memories include those odes to the beloved rife with metaphors. Shall I compare thee to a summer's day? She walks in beauty like the night. So this poem proceeds with its metaphors, starting with bread and wine, almost universal, and almost alluding to the sacrament of communion. These are the opening lines Collins took from another poem, and he moves on to dew on the grass, a surprising white apron on the baker, and another surprise of marsh birds suddenly in flight. The jarring line, however, you are not the wind in the orchard, jumps away from this litany of metaphoric comparisons as if he's rolling his eyes at yet another cliched image. Another image, a house of cards, is something that is so gingerly constructed and easily toppled, so it's a good thing that the beloved is not one of those. When the speaker notes that a quick look in the mirror reveals that his beloved is certainly nothing so mundane as boots in the corner or a boat in the boathouse, which are both images of inanimate things stored away, he seems to break from metaphors altogether. Such phrases as "there is just no way you are the pine-scented air," and "it may interest you to know that, given the plentiful imagery of the world," spotlight the tongue-in-cheek undercurrent of this poem and its own self-conscious humor, as the speaker notes what he is and isn't. This plentiful imagery bounces between trite images, "you're the dew in the sun," "I'm the moon and a shooting star," and more unique images of the pigeon on the general's head or the basket of chestnuts on the kitchen table. From his musings, we are reminded that love is common, and people are similar, but in the eyes of someone who dearly loves another, that person is distinctive, unique, exceptional, beyond compare, and her smallest quirks and details set her apart from and above all others, endearing her to him. Really, up to this point, it's been almost a parody of this common way of expressing appreciation of someone deeply loved by indulging in strings of metaphors. But before dissolving into complete absurdity on the rim of the blind woman's teacup, the speaker reins it back in by returning to the bread and the knife. She is the bread, the knife, the crystal goblet, something fine and fragile and open to being filled, and somehow the wine, the fruits that ferment and mellow with age, the drink of celebrations and bacchanalia that somehow brings truths spilling off honey tongues. In vino veritas. This has been the Burst of Words Poetry Podcast with Shelby Rosengarten of St. Petersburg College.